your host, Rodrick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters Podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media, LLC. Let's go!
Welcome to another Musicians Matters Podcast, live, or the Takeover Podcast, live on demand, session 61. If you missed any of our podcasts, you can go to Positive Power Christian Media, LLC, the Weekend Channel, or Spotify, or Google Play, Speaker, etc. I would like to thank all my sponsors, Cornerstone Christian Church, Fresh Wind Ministries, the Gas Station Recording Studio, Music Lessons, or the Fire Public Education Las Vegas Rescue Service. Let's welcome my guest, Bruce Harper Big Band. What's going on, Bruce?
Well, I'm just sitting here waiting to talk to you. Feeling good. Awesome. I know we got something going on coming on this December. What's going on this December? Well, my big band will be performing at Myron's at the Smith Center, Las Vegas, December the 5th. Downbeat is 7 p.m. We play about an hour and a half show, and we're already in the process of picking the music for the show, and that always excites me. Gathering music is kind of a hobby of mine. I love finding new charts and having new charts written, and it's just a never-ending thing. So every time I think that I have all the charts I need, I find something else that I want.
That is true. I can understand that. It's always experience when you're producing something. You have to put your whole heart into it. I have to do the same thing for the festival and the drum clinic. It's the same. It's a never-ending situation. You always have your mind going. Am I correct?
Yes, and it's not really work. It's just it's a labor of love because you love what you're doing. You love the music and everything that goes with it, and so it makes it pretty easy. Although it is work, but it's fun work.
Yes, it is definitely fun work. Yes. So, is it going to be better than the last one?
Of course. That's my goal. That's my goal in life, is to have every show better than the last one. You know, because I view pieces of music that I feel like after I've played a piece of music, I feel like I can always play it better than I just did. So that spurs me on for the next time to play it better than I did the last time. So that's always going through my mind because I want to move forward. I want to play better and better and better, and the band play better and better, and get better and better music to play, and so that's what drives me.
Awesome. I got to tell you, last time the food was excellent. By me being a chef, the food was dynamic because last time I didn't order. I mean, prior to the last time I came, I didn't order food, but this time I ordered some food, and I love the pizza. The food was just delicious. The peanuts was delicious. You know, I don't drink, but the Pepsi was always off the chain. So tell your caterers and your food and restaurant servers that they did an awesome job on that.
I will. Yeah, they have everything. I mean, this is a real treat to play at the Smith Center because it is a world-class, Class A place. They do everything as good as it can be done, including the food and the drinks and the musicians, all the different bands. And they have, they have 2 rooms there. I play the room that holds about 240 people, and it's called Myron's. It's a more intimate kind of a room. And then they also have Reynolds Hall, and I forget how many it holds, like 1,500 or 2,000. And they get Broadway shows in there and huge act shows in there. But where I play, although we have an 18-piece orchestra, it's still in an intimate setting, and it's more fun that way because the band can really communicate with the audience. Everybody can see better and hear better, and so all the people that work at Myron's also are very world-class people, like the guys that run the sound. There's 2 guys. They have a stage monitor guy, and he runs the monitors on stage, and then they have a house sound technician, and he runs what it sounds like to the audience. And both their names are Kevin. So
wow.
Yeah, and they have both been on the road with huge acts like Prince and all kinds of all the biggest acts in the world. That both of them have a lot of big time experience, and so it's great to have people like that in that room, and also the lighting people are first class. They have a guy, Steve and Mo, are both lighting people, and they're fantastic. They always, they ask me before the show, how would you, anything you would like in particular, and I tell them, just make us look like $1 million.
Yes, and they have been doing an excellent job every time that I have been coming, from the front door to the stage. Just has been an excellent job. Like you say, it is number one, first class, and I like it. Every time I come there from the parking to the stage is like excellent.
Right. It's a beautiful place. It's kind of done in an Art Deco style, and it's just gorgeous. Like the Empire State Building, except not quite as tall.
Not exactly. Not quite as tall. You're right about that. So basically, when we come into this event or to this experience, what are we going to be expecting? Well,
my singer will be there, Naomi Mauro, and she's also world class, and everybody loves her. She has a lot of different jobs herself around town singing. She sings almost every night somewhere, and she has a big following, so a lot of them come to see her, and she's just perfect for my band because she's really her heart is into jazz and swinging, and that's where my heart is, and but she's a great rock singer. She can sing all kinds of different styles, and so can I. And but we mainly, our heart really is into the jazz swinging thing, and not too far out. It's all really straight ahead, easy going. But it cooks, it gets exciting, but it's not anything far out. I don't believe in that. So
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so that's what you will be hearing, an 18-piece orchestra, and her singing, and we also featured just the band, and she goes back, and if she needs some break, she goes and changes her gowns while the band, a couple of numbers here and there, and so we get to feature the guys a little more in the band, let them solo a little bit, and that's always fun. You know, the band's always loved to, you know, the different guys in the bands love to be featured, and so we'll be doing that also. And I've just been going over some music today, figuring out what that part is going to be. I have over 500 pieces of music that we've played over the years, and I have them all in file cabinets, and we've played every bit of it. You know, it's amazing, and so I have so much to choose from, but my heart goes to certain things that are, I think, the best out of the 500 charts. I mean, there's so many good ones, it's hard to pick. But, and it depends on where you're playing, you know, and who you're playing for. And, you know, so I pick things that I think that the crowd at the Smith Center is going to enjoy. And so far, this show coming up will be our 19th show in there. So they keep coming back. So I guess they like what I'm picking out and what we're playing and how we're playing it.
That's good. 19 shows. That's a milestone. And if you done 19 shows without stopping.
Well, we had a little stop there for 2 years.
That's because of the pandemic. But I'm saying without stopping, because people, you know, people look for entertainment and a nice place to gather and listen to music without any harm or anything coming to them. That's basically what I'm saying. Right.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a very safe place, and that's a concern these days, unfortunately. But they have a lot of security around there, and they have metal detectors to even get in the building, and so it's a great, safe, world-class place that all you have to do is go in and enjoy.
Exactly. Now, about these, do you still have tickets?
Yes.
I mean, so
we're about right now. What are we, about a month out? A little more than a month out. Yeah. We're about half sold. So
wow.
So we got a lot of tickets.
Let people know where they can purchase their tickets at.
Okay, they go to thesmithcenter.com.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, thesmithcenter.com. You go to their website, and you'll see a lot of things on there, and you look for tickets. There's a little button up there, and you click on tickets, and then it'll take you to the different rooms where the bands are available, and you click on Myron's, where we play, and you scroll through all the bands that are playing there until you get to December 5th, and you'll find us. And you click on our picture, and then you can keep clicking. It'll guide you along and where you can purchase tickets.
Awesome. Make sure you purchase Bruce Harper Big Band, not anybody else's. I'm not just putting any, coffee or whatever on the other persons or other people, but make sure on December 5th you purchase Bruce Harper Big Band tickets, everyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's plenty of tickets left to buy at this point, but as the weeks roll along, there will be less and less. And so if your people are interested in hearing something that's different than your normal fare around Las Vegas, this is like Vegas used to be in the 50s and 60s, what I play. And because, Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. and all these guys, they were doing what I'm doing now with my band, except I'm the leader of the band, and I have a singer to front the band, and that's Naomi.
Yes, awesome. So if you want to, you can give us a little history about big bands.
Sure. Well, Louis Armstrong really got music rolling for the masses back in the 20s and into the 30s, but he had a small group, and I think all musicians, anybody in music that plays jazz, owes a great debt to Louis Armstrong. He was a world-class trumpet player and entertainer and singer himself. He had his own style of singing, but everybody loved him, and nobody else could do what he did. I've read so many stories about him, but from that, it started rolling along and into the 30s, and a few big bands started popping up, and like Count Basie and Benny Moten. Benny Moten had a band, I think, in Kansas City, and he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, so he turned the band over to his piano player, Count Basie, and that's where Count got his band started, and so at that time in the late 30s, Artie Shaw had a great big band, and Tommy Dorsey had Buddy Rich playing drums, and he had Frank Sinatra singing with him. Frank was about 20 years old, so was Buddy. And so then there was Benny Goodman in the late 30s, and so he played at Carnegie Hall. And so he was going to play at Carnegie Hall, and they had never had jazz in Carnegie Hall before. It was all classical music. And so they weren't sure how the audience was going to react to what they did. And the audience, they all show up. They've got tuxedos on, and they're all decked out, and they're used to hearing classical music. And there's Gene Krupa up there, this one of the greatest drummers of all times. And he's up there playing Sing, 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 and the crowd just went nuts. There's some video of the crowd, and they're all patting their feet, and they can barely sit still. They want to jump up and start dancing. And so that was 1938, February of 1938. And it was, I've had some friends over the years that actually went to that. And they said it was a rainy, snowy night in New York City going to Carnegie. But they got there, and that night changed jazz and music forever, really, because the jazz all of a sudden got popular, and Gene Krupa got popular, and he got so popular that that Benny Goodman, he was the leader, and he wanted all the adulation himself, but the crowd was so taken with Gene Krupa that before the show started, the crowd out in the audience, like the Paramount Theater in New York City, the crowd would be chanting, "Go, Gene, go! Go, Gene, go!" they just were enthralled with the drummer, And so Benny, he didn't appreciate that. He didn't like that so much. So he wanted them cheering for him, So a couple of months later, and it was only 2 months later, somebody offered Gene Krupa to have his own band. So he left Minnie and started his own band and had huge hits all through the 40s. And he had some famous singers with him, Anita O'Day, and so they had top 40 hits. And Gene was in a lot of movies, and they say that Gene Krupa was actually the first Bobby Soxer, back in the 40s, and he was a dashing-looking young man and played so great, and he had so much charisma. He just drew the people in, and I never had the opportunity to see him play live, but he sure had an effect on me because my dad brought home the recording of the 1938 Carnegie Hall concert, and I heard Gene playing, and I was done. I was like, man, that's what I'm doing. So I always play Sing, 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 what he played in my shows as a tribute to him and what he did for good music.
Yes.
So then,
yes, he did.
Yep. So then through the 40s into the 50s, there were still a lot of bands, big bands going on. They said basically the big band era was over in 1946, but that didn't stop any of the bands. They kept going, but also at that time, bebop was coming in with Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and Max Roach and Roy Haynes and all those guys, and they were playing a different style of music. And it wasn't swing, it was jazz, fast jazz, bebop, they called it. And so that started changing music a little bit, But the big bands still kept going. Count Basie, Duke, they played until they died, like in the 70s and the early 80s, I think. So, I grew up listening to all that, and I also listened to the rock of the day. When I started playing back in the 50s, Little Richard and Fast Domino were big. I'd hear them on the radio, and that excited me because they played with passion, especially Little Richard. It was like, wow. I listen to that stuff, and it's just it excites me, and that's what I like to do with the drums. I like to play exciting and stir things up. Let's get some adrenaline going, and so that's basically a short version of big band history. And but I went to North Texas State University. They call it the University of North Texas now, and it had a great big band program. So I was lucky to get in there. I grew up 35 miles away from there in Fort Worth, and that was in Denton, Texas. And so I'd heard that band play up there a couple of times when I was in junior high and high school, and I was like, that's where I'm headed. That's my music. I love it. So I went up there and played for 4 years, and I went in the Air Force Band for 4 years, and then I went out on my own. I wasn't going to school or in the Air Force anymore, so I was just out in the hard, cruel world trying to figure out where I was going to play and what kind of music I was going to play. And the second I was out of school, there was no more jazz going on. Nobody was paying bands to play jazz. It was all rock. Right. So I got into that. Because all I wanted to ever do was to make a living playing drums. That was my goal.
So far as rock is a hard skill of music to play. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, they're all hard. But if you love it, you don't mind working on it. Don't
mind working on it. You're right.
You have to work on it.
Yeah.
You know, the harder you work on it, the better you get. You have to play a lot. You know, Gene Krupa said when he was with Benny Goodman, they would play a morning show, they play an afternoon show, a night show, and then they'd go jam all night long. And they'd do that every day. And he said, we were playing so much you couldn't help but be good.
That's true. Now, can you tell the world about the difference of swinging and trapping?
Sure. Swinging, it's called syncopation, and the basic feel for that is based on like 1, 2, 3, and it's parts of that. So you take a every other note out, and you get pop, 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 and then you put a little lope to it, and it starts going do wee 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 da ba do pop pop ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do pop. And that's the general feel for most swing music. Now, the trapping, as you call it, rock or Latin style, has a different feel to it. It has a straight eighth note feel instead of a triplet type of feel. It has a straight feel, and the feel for that is more like what the pop 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 boom boom bang ka-doom doom dang doom doom dang ka-doom doom dang. So it's built, it's just a different feel, and so that's the basics of those things. But there's a lot of little nuances that go on in both those styles, and rock used to be a lot simpler. And I remember drummers back when the swing era kind of started. Everybody used to play shuffles like in the 50s and 60s. And then when rock started coming in, the older drummers couldn't get their bass drum foot to play that stuff. Their bass drum foot was going boom, 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 and now when the rock came in, they had to go boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, 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 boom, boom, boom. They had to get that bass drum playing a little more of a melody line than just playing boom, 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 boom. So some of these guys, they would. Some of them, it's a true story. They heard me play, and they come up and they're like, "How in the world do you get your foot going like that?" And I would hear other guys that had a way better foot than I did, and but I did have the coordination to do it, and but some of them just gave up. It was so different than anything they'd ever played in their lives, and. But and now there's guys that have passed me up. Like they got so much chops and like so much ability on fusion, they call it. It's a cross between jazz and rock, and it's very busy. Drum parts are insane. So I've never really gotten into that, mainly because when I was in Texas playing rock, people, the guys in the band, they wanted me to play simple. You play the groove, but don't play a bunch of other busy stuff. They liked it clean. And so I learned that stuck in my head. I always listened to my fellow musicians and what they liked, and tried to do that. So the fusion thing was so busy, it didn't make sense to me, because it was almost like the drummer was soloing the whole time.
That's true.
And that just didn't quite fit with what I was brought up to do. But I appreciate those guys. I love them. I love listening to them, and I marvel at what they can do, but that's just not really my thing. But the rock I could play, which was, stuff that you would hear on the radio back in the 70s and 80s, I could play most of that stuff. And when I got to Vegas, they had the shows going on the Strip, and they had a lot of rock in them. And again, some of the older guys couldn't play the rock stuff. Wow! Because you had to play it harder too. You couldn't play it light like you could maybe jazz, but you had to slam that stuff down, and have a lot of energy and stamina. And so I happened to have that in my back pocket when I came to town here. And there were a lot of big bands playing, so all of a sudden, from going from Dallas to Las Vegas, all of a sudden, there's all these big bands to play with. And I couldn't find a big band to play with but maybe once a year in Dallas there for about 8 years. So I got here, and in 6 months, I had my own big band, and here we are playing at Myron's.
Wow, that's excellent. That is excellent. That is amazing. So before we close, but what do you have to say, or what best advice do you have to give to a musician, an upcoming musician right now, and a musician right today that is a professional?
Well, I would say to play the music that you love and get you a teacher. You need a teacher just to show you some basic things like, there's no right way and there's no wrong way. All musicians find their own way of holding the sticks and all that, but there is a little place you can start, and you need to start there. And then, because basically a teacher can show you, can point you in a direction, a good direction, but then you got to do all the work yourself. And so basically you don't learn everything from a teacher. You have to figure it all out yourself. You have to teach yourself. And that takes a lot of playing and a lot of time in the practice room. And again, you don't mind doing it because you love it. It's something you love doing. And the better you get, that you start feeling pretty good about yourself, and that spurs you on to practice even more. And depending on what caliber you want to be, what shows you want to do, or if you want to be a lounge drummer or a church drummer or whatever it is you want to do, you aim for that and give it your all. Because if you practice 1 hour a day, there's 50 drummers around here practicing 2 hours a day, and there's some practicing 6 and 8 hours a day. I used to practice 6 hours a day back in the 70s when I was younger, and that's very important. All these guys are hero drummers. They've all done that. It's just like a job, you have an 8 hour a day job, and if you're a musician, that's your 8 hour a day job. And you don't have to be on the drums the whole time. You can be reading music, you can be listening to music, studying music, but a lot of it needs to be spent on the set. And you get a good teacher to start you off and kind of point you in the right direction, then you're off on your own and you know what to do, Then you got to put the time in.
Awesome. That's amazing. So this coming December, we're going to be having Bruce Harper Big Band. It's going to be at Let 'Em Know.
Myron's at the Smith Center, Las Vegas.
And you still have time to purchase those tickets.
Yes. About half the tickets are sold, so there's plenty of tickets left right now. 5 weeks out, so anybody listening to this, I guarantee you will have a good time. You'll walk in. When you walk out, you'll feel better than when you walked in. I guarantee it.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Now, Unc, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you for coming on the show. And next month, not next month. Next month, the end of the month, we will have you back on the show again.
Beautiful.
And it says, I would like to thank my chief engineer, Jerry Royce, Positive Power Christian Media LLC, for providing the airways and the platform. And I would like to thank Tyler Gaston for bridging in the gaps for this show, all of the engineering work as far as the music and helping me with my voiceover and everything, etc. And it says, dignity has always gotten us through. It was a choice and not always the easy one. But the people I respected in most in life made it again and again every single day. This lady, Michelle Obama. Have a blessed and a prosperous day on today.
Join me as your host, Rodrick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters Podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media LLC. Let's go!
You're listening to Bruce Harper Worldwide Podcast.